Hey guys, welcome to Rosie's Dessert Spot. In this tutorial, I'll be demonstrating how I like to photograph my cakes. I have done a live stream on this a few months ago, but this is going to be how to edit your photos and also how to set up if you haven't watched a live stream. If you have though and you'd like to skip ahead to that time there and I'll just demonstrate how to edit. The items that I personally like to use as go-to are a few of them. First of all, you have a cake stand. This is not a cake stand, this is actually a candlestick. I bought it for like $3 at a garage sale. And what it basically does for me is it elevates my cake well and truly off whatever countertop I have. So you don't really need to mess around with trying to change the surface to be photo pretty. This elevates it, which means that you can now take photos of your cake at angles where you can't see the bottom. Obviously, you're going to need a background for your photo, so I like to use a white canvas. This is literally just canvas board. It's got that thing at the back. If you can find one without that wood at the back, even better. You don't actually see it in the photo though, because there's enough light kind of reflecting off it that it hides it. Aside from background, you're going to need a reflector. I used to use this as a background. It's a foam core board that I bought from Officeworks for like maybe $8 or so. I used to use as a background, but it is so easily tainted, like little dents here and there, so it wouldn't last me very long and I'd be replacing this every couple of weeks. I have legit had this canvas for like more than 4 months and she is still immaculate. So canvas is the cheapest and more durable way to go. Another item that's really handy, and I've been using it in just about every thumbnail at the moment, is some plain white sheets. I think most people have just this lying around in their home and it's really great for adding fun elements into your photo to help your cake to pop. Second last item is, depending how big your subject is that you want to photograph, an A1 size piece of paper. To demonstrate, I have an A4 size piece of paper here instead. And the final item is a stand for my canvas. This is a huge candlestick. You don't need to get this. Just get something that you can rest your canvas against so that it stays nice and tall without falling over. So on my candlestick, I'm going to prop my canvas on top. And another thing you're going to want is a very big window. So choose a room in your house that has the biggest window and lots of lighting. If you don't have lighting or a window or it's nighttime, well, you can also use one of these awesome light boxes. I bought this on eBay a very long time ago for about $40. I think they sell packs of 3 of these for about $90 to $130 depending. Really, really handy, replaces natural light. Make sure you go for a daylight temperature one, about 5,500 is the temperature you're looking for. And then from here, what you want to do is pop your cake stand and your reflector on the opposite side of where your light source is coming from. So our window is here, therefore the light's coming down this way and we want to reflect it back out that way. This takes away the harsh shadows on your cake. So this is our cake. And I want you to notice the difference on this side of the cake when I remove our reflector and when I return our reflector. And you can see how much more professional that looks when you remove that shadow from the other side. Now this is a setup with our candlestick. So it's elevated our cake and we can go in any angle we want and we won't see the table underneath, which is a glass table and will look absolutely horrible in your photo. If you don't have a candlestick like this, what you can do is bring out your A1 size paper. Again, I've only got an A4 here with me today, but you can use an A1 and pop your little things on top of that instead. Notice how there's absolutely no harsh line in the back. It's going to look perfectly seamless. Just to give you an idea of what that will look like once it's been cropped in. And here we have the final setup. This is my personal favorite, and you've probably seen this in just about every one of my thumbnails at the moment. It's a plain white sheet, and I'm going to fold it and crinkle it in areas to make it look a little bit more interesting, add some, I guess, diversity to the shot and really help that to pop. And that's literally all you do. Make sure that the back is also hidden. So you might want to just kind of crumple that up, make it look a little bit more natural. And from here, I'm just going to take my phone and take my shot. Again, if you don't have a window with natural lighting, this is how I like to set up my light box. So it's directly beside my project. I might bring it in a little bit closer and I'll adjust my reflector however I need to make sure that the shadows are as I like them. Now I'm going to jump into my phone and go through the fun stuff. Editing the photos using a free app that you can buy called Photoshop Express, or you can use Instagram. I'll actually go through both because most people are actually going to be using Instagram, but if you want a little bit something more advanced, Photoshop Express is also a great option. Now we're on our phone, head on over to your gallery where you'll have the photo of your cake. Hit share, and then scroll across till you find Photoshop Express app. From here you can crop your photo. So whenever you're doing something for Instagram, you'd want to go to the 1:1 ratio, and that gives you a square photo for Instagram. You can zoom in and reposition as you like. Alternatively, there's also the YouTube thumbnail, which is super handy. From here, you can crop in your photo by dragging and with 2 fingers zooming in. Say for example, we want it like that, and we don't want any of those sides showing, we want it to be nice and clean. From there, to save it at that ratio, tap on the bottom menu where you see those little 2 lines with the little dots, and this is the fun stuff. So I like to start at the beginning with sharpness, and I normally bring it to about halfway with any cake related photo. Scroll sideways and head to exposure. Here it's always good to bring it along. I like to go too far and then bring it back so I know where too far is. And I kind of toggle back and forth until I find the type of exposure that I like. Next is contrast. I always like to add contrast to help it to pop. And again, toggling back and forth is my favorite way to do it. And I might stop it at 15. Highlights, same thing. I like to add a fair bit of highlight in here. And then I don't actually touch the shadow. You can if you like. I skip straight to the whites, and I always add a bit of white. About there. And then the blacks, I always go back with the blacks. And the reason for that is that it gives you a really good contrast. It really brightens up those colors, or at least makes them a lot more noticeable. Temperature, I always bring it back down towards the cooler sort of temperatures, and I really like the look of that for food. I skip tint and I go straight to vibrance. With vibrance, I only really bring it up just a little bit. I don't want to go too far. And most of the times I don't even touch saturation. I feel like that just gives it too much of a fake look. And if I do, I'll probably stop at about 4 or 5, anywhere from 5 and below usually. At the very top, right hand side, you can see a little circle and an arrow. Next to that is a comparison. You can toggle back and forth to see how you changed your image. From there, hit the circle and the arrow, and now you can export it. I've got it set to none. You can go to T and type in text. You can have little watermarks on there, but I don't really think you'll want that. So just stick with none, and then save to gallery just underneath that. Then the fun thing, you can go back to the crop tool, and now you can make another image for Instagram. So you'll zoom it into where you want. I've always got this 3-grid thing locked in. I have a feeling you can't actually change that, but it's a great way to center your subject. Or if you want, bring it into one of the corners, make a line up with a line, whether that be horizontal or vertical. That's another great way to use this tool. But I normally just stick to the center. And I might have his nose and the bottom of his ears in the line. Then straight back to the circle with the arrow, and then save to gallery. If you're into the Instagram story post, you can also change it back to device. Zoom in and out as necessary. I like to line it up with the bottom grid line, and then the exact same step again. And this is very, very similar to what you would do in Instagram. I click don't save because it saves directly to where is it? Where is it? Directly to your Photoshop Express folder. And there we have all 3 of those that we saved. Now if you go into your Instagram, add a photo, find the photo that you'd like to edit, and you do the exact same thing. Click next to the top right hand side, and then rather than filter, go to the other menu, which is edit, And you have all of those options here again. So you have brightness, which is just the exposure, contrast like before. Structure, I think, is what they use here for sharpness or dehaze. Warmth, bringing it back down to the cool temperatures. And then saturation. So there's no, I guess saturation is more so combined with vibrance here. And it's looking a little bit too grayish for me. I'm actually going to up that brightness a little bit and bring down that structure. It's a little bit too sharp for my liking. And then if you click on the photo, you can see the difference between one and the other. In the adjust menu, you can zoom in and crop your photo like before. The limiting thing about Instagram is that I think you can only do square. If you hit next, usually it saves it to your gallery, so you can just exit. I don't know if that's still the case anymore, but that's how I used to do it back in the day. And that's how I like to edit my photos for my YouTube, for my Instagram and other social media. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and it was helpful for you in some way. And if you need any help at all or have any questions, I am but a message away. If you haven't subscribed, don't forget to do so. We upload a new cake decorating tutorial every Tuesday. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.